Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Bad Roommates. First up we have a roommate lies about having his own toilet paper supply and other annoyances by Comfortable Pack 8903. I had a conversation with this roommate before and he said he had his own toilet paper supply. Yet I've found he has used toilet paper even after I talked with him. How do I know? The other roommate was out and someone else had used the TP. I've also found missing rolls or partially used rolls from the cabinet where I keep the toilet paper. He takes from the back row thinking no one will notice. I noticed because the toilet paper supply was getting lower and I looked at the back row. It's kind of like how a kid will take a chocolate from the box, hoping no one will notice it's gone. It doesn't bother me that he uses it, it bothers me that he lies, sneaks and takes it. If he had asked, or if he had been forward about it, I wouldn't care. I would be like, go ahead and use it, but just don't use a lot, and it would be nice if you replaced it. 3 sheets. Why is it so hard for someone just to go out to the store and get like 4 mega rolls for less than $5? Damn, I'm getting 16 rolls for £5. He could even order it on Amazon. I used to thought it was great. If he didn't want to go out to the store. Truth is, they don't care. I think the roommates are convinced that the cabinet is magic and it just regenerates toilet paper. To be fair, if you could have a magical cabinet, that would be a pretty handy thing for it to have. That and hand wash. And gold. Just whatever you put in there regenerates. He left grass all over the rug after he took a shower. I took a picture and sent it to the landlord. We live with the landlord in his house. I feel most of the time when I talk to roommates about cleaning, they don't take me seriously, because they don't. They go, yeah, okay, I'll clean it, and it never gets done. If he's going to track in grass, for God's sake, clean it up. He has also left hair all over the shower. One time, I think he left pubic hairs in the shower and on the toilet. If there's one major annoyance, it's how the roommates leave the bathroom. They leave the rug around the toilet kicked over. I found the shower rug all the way on the other side of the room. The trash can was moved as well as the toilet brush. All of the things on the sink were on top of the toilet tank. The roommates also forget to set the shower back. The detachable shower head is almost always set to spray instead of the main one. It's annoying when I have to go in there and reset everything back. At least they put another roll of toilet paper on instead of leaving it empty. I'm sorry if I seem very specific about things. If someone is going to use the bathroom, at least put things the way they found them. They could simply rinse the sink if they leave hair or toothpaste in it. You know, simple, common courtesy things that I thought some roommates did. I feel like if they were using the landlord's bathroom, he would have an absolute shit fit about how they leave it. He would not tolerate it, and he would let them know. Well, sad fact is, they're probably never going to change. You're right to complain. It is unreasonable what they're doing when you're living with other people. If they want to live like that, then they should live on their own, and then they can do what they like. Although even living on your own, you do have to keep things somewhat tidy. Okay. Story number 2. Is my roommate is using my bathroom toiletries, possibly even my toothbrush. This isn't a sequel. By Handmade Yogurt. Some context. I, 24 and female, have been living in a 3-bed, 2-bath apartment on a month-to-month lease with a roommate, 26 female. I'll refer to her as Taz, who I get along perfectly with, in my opinion, who I've been living in the apartment with for a year, and a new roommate, 21 female, who I will refer to as Jazz. We met on Facebook to fill our room. Just moved in the last week of September. The month-to-month lease is nice because it gives us flexibility on moving in and out without affecting each other's lease. More people should do that. I noticed some suspicious patterns in the placement and use of my toiletries right when Jazz moved in. She doesn't keep much stuff in the bathroom. Well, why would she need to? Yours is there. And I just told myself she probably keeps her toiletries in her room. The week that she moved in, I noticed that the same pad wrappers that I use for pads were in the trash can, despite the fact that I was not on my period. I wrote this off as Jazz probably having her own stash of the same pads in her room. I suspiciously ran out of shampoo way quicker than I expected. I have a pretty large size bottle that I've been using for years, and it usually takes a year to get through. I only bought it in March, but I wrote this off as me being extra greasy this year. Oh. Coincidentally, she ended up buying her own shampoo and conditioner right as I ran out. So she's capable. I was away for the weekend, and when I came back, unannounced on Sunday night, I saw that my tube of toothpaste was on her shelf. I wrote this off as me leaving my toothpaste at my boyfriend's place that weekend, and this was her tube. Magically, when I was getting ready for work on Monday morning, the tube of toothpaste had made its way back onto my shelf. The straw that broke the camel's back was so blatant, I couldn't even lie to myself. I woke up at the ass crack of dawn this morning to my face wash and makeup remover on the counter with dark-colored water on the counter, indicative of someone using my products to wash off their makeup. Some things to note are that I never take my face wash out of the shower, and I didn't even have any makeup to take off the night before. I confronted Jazz and she denied it. She said that she must have taken the face wash out of the shower on her way out and put it on the counter. Oh, yeah, we're always doing that one, aren't we? Yes, very common mistake. I personally have never accidentally taken my roommate's toiletries on my way out of the shower, taken another product from their shelf, used it, then left it on the counter. But that's just me, though. Oh, very strange that you've never done that. I mean, I can't enjoy a shower without misplacing something. In fact, I've sometimes had to break into neighbours' houses just so I can move things about in their bathrooms so that I feel I've actually had a proper shower. That's just me, though. One thing I noticed is that she uses a lot of things that she doesn't have in the bathroom. One thing that she notably doesn't have, and this high-key horrifies me. It's about to horrify us all. Is a toothbrush. And yet she has teeth. I have 2 toothbrushes in there, one for me and one for my boyfriend who visits, and I'm worried that she's also helping herself to this specific toiletry. I'm pretty pissed that she is lying to my face about using my stuff, and I don't really know what to do. Call that hoe bag out, or put all your stuff in your room and replace it with identical-looking things, clearly where yours should be that no one else should be touching, but that will mess her up. You know, like itching whatever in the shampoo, really hot, fiery prank toothpaste, that sort of thing. Please check the laws where you live, of course. I don't really believe in pranks, but I do believe in crushing your enemies, seeing them driven before you, and something about women laminating stuff. I don't want to take my stuff out of the bathroom. You might have to, though, after I've made this place my home for a year. Also, not to be that girl that's like, my products are expensive. But they are. Well, yeah. That's why she's not paying for them. I guess people could argue that I shouldn't have expensive things. Send them one of these. Oh, wait, I've got another one. Send them that one too, if they're saying that. You work hard for the money, you have a right to buy what you want with it, and enjoy it. Unless it's hookers and coke, because they tend to be illegal. But anything legal. When I have roommates that I don't really know, but this is my life. Has anyone ever dealt with a situation like this? If so, how did you handle it? For those who haven't, what would you do in my situation? I am welcome to any opinions, even ones who hate on my point of view. I just would like to have some more opinions on this, on top of my other roommate Taz, who totally supports me and encouraged me to go to Reddit. Some roommate bonus things that Jazz has done and made me pretty angry at her. She had a screaming fight with her ex-boyfriend, who has been at our apartment a lot for an ex-boyfriend. Magic dick. In the living room at 4 a.m. on a Monday. Door slamming, scream crying, sobbing and all. Like, dude, if you're going to do that, please at least do that on a Saturday at 4 a.m. when I don't have stuff to do. Her room smells rank as hell. When she leaves the door open, it can fill the living room with a smell that I can only describe as something very cheesy left out for weeks at room temp. Oh, they should not know how to crack a window. I have the washer and dryer in my room. Super funky, but that's what I get for living in a major US city. Convenient, though. I typically send out a schedule to my roommates as to when they can come in and wash it. I have communicated 2 times that following this schedule is important, and it's a sign of respect for my space. It's also practical. She has gone in 3 times off schedule, leaves soap and scent beads all over my floor. Bet she didn't pay for them either. As if my room is only a laundry room and not also my bedroom. And even left me a piece of gum as a present on my bed. I hope it wasn't pre-chewed. Our king of the house, Timmy, roommate Tazzie's extremely sweet and docile rescue pup, ballistically barks when he sees her. They know. Timmy has never really barked at me or any of my guests, and is even pretty scared to get pets from strangers. Aww. When we noticed that Timmy started to bark upon her move-in, please give Timmy a surrogate pet for me, if you would be so good. Alright, real advice that doesn't involve you risking your freedom and going to jail. You've just got to straight up tell her to stop using your stuff, and if she doesn't stop doing it, well, it's a month-to-month lease. She can move out. Doesn't sound like it'd be much of a loss anyway. But yeah, you've just got to straight up tell her, You're obviously a nice person. You've shown here time and time again you were giving benefit of the doubt. You were assuming that you were the one who must have some sort of issue if you noticed something was amiss. It's time to stop giving the benefit of the doubt and just say to her. It'll never fix itself. I mean, you might find just calling her out will be enough. It probably won't be. But if it comes down to in the end, I think she's got to move out, because what she's doing is actually theft. It's not even hyperbole. She's literally just taking stuff that doesn't belong to her. It's theft. People. And the third story today is Nightmare Experience Living with My Ex-Best Friend by Na. To give this post a timeline and context, this experience occurred 5 years ago. I was hesitant to put this on here because I try not to hold on to resentment. Oh, me too, but some people make it so difficult. However, I recently found out my ex-best friend talks a lot of shit still, so here we go. My now ex-boyfriend and I lived together for several years. When we broke up, I needed a temporary place to stay for a little while I got back on my feet. My now ex-BFF offered to help. Sam. I was hesitant to take Sam up on it because she lived with another girl, Molly, who I used to be friends with in high school and had a bad falling out with. Sam also lived with her brother, Derek, who is also Molly's boyfriend. At first, I was extremely grateful that they were letting me stay there. Staying with my family was not an option for me, for reasons I don't want to get into. Plus, I had a cat and didn't want to give her up for adoption because I was homeless. I also kind of thought that maybe this could be an opportunity for me to patch things up with Molly and have all 3 of us be friends again. Boy, was I mistaken. The entire time I was there, Molly acted annoyed with my mere presence. If we were in the same room, she would barely acknowledge my presence and give me very short responses if I tried to start a conversation with her. She also acted very hostile in a very passive-aggressive way. She would send messages in our group chat about how she was our fucking mom. If a dish just so happened to be out of place, or if a particular chore wasn't done when she wanted it to be. Well, if she's going to act like a mom. Meanwhile, she would be out of the house for days to stay at her boyfriend's house. Another story. And not take care of her 3 cats. The rest of us would frequently have to water, feed, scoop the litter box, and play with them because she was never home. Come to find out, Molly had wanted to break up with Derek for months, possibly longer, and she was angry that I was in the extra bedroom because she wanted it for herself. She apparently decided that now was the time to do the deed. She told Sam that part of the reason she was putting off the breakup was because she knew she would have a hard time finding a place on her own with 3 cats. Which, by the way, is really messed up to tell the sister of your boyfriend, but okay. Luckily, I finally managed to get out of there after about 2 or 3 months. After the experience, I tried talking to Sam about it. She just made all these excuses for Molly. She claimed that Molly had issues. She was working out in therapy. Work harder. As far as I know, Molly continued to live with Derek for at least 1 or 2 years after I moved out. Sam and I stopped being friends around 3 years ago for something unrelated. In present time, Sam and Molly are still somehow BFFs. Well, skanks stick together. But I'm sure Molly still uses Sam as an emotional punching bag, and she lets her, so it's not your problem. Anyway, at least you're out of that situation and you don't have to deal with those idiots again. Next story is anonymous. So, straight. Bye. I am here doing my master as an international student. I shared my apartment with 3 other international students, doesn't matter where they're from. To get this particular unit, one of them contacted me while I was back in my home country. We have a 4-bed, 2-bath, and I share a bathroom with the one who contacted me. I had other friends in this university living in different housing, and they were asking me to live with them, but due to the friendly approach of the current roommate, I'd planned to live with them. Fast forward, among 3 of them, 2 of them, say A contacted B, are really nice. They communicate with me well, even if I am an introvert, make jokes, invite sometimes to share their food, even give me rides. But there's this guy, the 3rd roommate, we'll just call him C, not because it starts with any naughty words, who seemed so nonchalant from the beginning. I sometimes try to share greetings, but he was very cold in his responses. I just let that pass, as I'm also not that talkative. But things exacerbated from September. One day I was cooking in the kitchen. He came and started to make a weird noise. It seemed like to assert dominance. Also later that day, I was talking with B and he came and mimicked my pronunciation and voice tone. As I'm kind of soft-spoken but not feminine, I asked him, "You alright?" And he did not say anything. I did not proceed as much as he was too drunk. Fast forward today. While I was going to my university, it was early morning, I saw him in our shared room. I was having a quick coffee before leaving. He went outside the door of the shared room, the common room which leads to a balcony, and he started using his phone or something. After I finished the coffee, I was about to close the door of the main gate to the apartment, which is completely opposite and front of the living room. I saw his shadow, and he was showing me the middle finger, which was clearly visible to me. There was a door curtain, so he might have thought I could not see, but as it was early morning, the shadow was pretty clear. Since then, I'm quite struck with this thought and incident in my mind. I have never ever done any harm to him. I have even shared some professors' names who were recruiting grad students, so his partner could send them an email. I do not know if these things are common where he comes from. I can guarantee you in no country in the world is flipping people off randomly, unless it meant peace among worlds, but I doubt that. But where I come from, this sign is not considered friendly banter, and refers to a very offensive behavior. I'm a peace-loving person, and I was enjoying my life in this apartment till today, but since this morning that changed, and I'm feeling quite uneasy about living there. I vacuum, I clean the kitchen all by myself most of the time for all the shared space, and I absolutely do not have complaints in that regard, so there's no reason for any kind of conflict as far as I can think. I'm trying to add all the dots in my mind to find out why he would be behaving like this, because he's a wanker. But I'm not being able to find a single clue. How do I cope with it? More input. I have somehow not a top-notch command of English while doing Conversation 7 in IELTS speaking, but I feel I'm adapting well. The other 2 roommates are completely fine, and I adore them. All of them have girlfriends, and they bring them every week. They'll have a party, loud singing, dancing every Thursday night till 3 in the morning, and I don't care. It gives me somewhat homey vibes. But C gets highly drunk and even blacks out and sings the whole night. Well, what's happened here is you've probably done nothing wrong, or maybe you've done something that you didn't know was a slight and it somehow offended him. But whether you did or didn't, he's taken a dislike to you. You can't help it. Sometimes people will just take a dislike to you. You don't click with that person. You're never going to change him. You don't need to worry about why he feels that way. It's not your problem. It's his problem to deal with. But I would suggest, if your friends still want you to go live with them, maybe look into that option if the situation gets any worse where you are. Beyond that, you're kind of just going to have to accept that he's a bit of a dickhead. And the fifth and final story today is AITA for Moving Out by Outrageous Swim 1945. So I, male 28, have been living with my friend, male of the same age, for about a year. I have a rare joint condition which makes it hard for me to walk, and I needed to move out of my apartment. He offered to let me stay with him because his girlfriend, female 32, was in prison, and he needed help covering some of the costs. The agreement was for me to pay $400 a month out of the $1,700 rent. This went beautifully for about 8 months until his girlfriend came back from prison. I'd known his girlfriend before she went to prison, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that we were even friends. But when she came back, I never hated anyone more. She developed a serious drinking problem. She was always drunk and not contributing to the rent at all. She would black out and urinate on the couch, pass out on the toilet, in the shower, and even peed on my bed once when she blacked out. I also would have to clean up after both of them, dishes, bathroom, living area. I never cared when it was just him, but 2 people is a little too much for me. This lasted for about a month or 2 until she broke her probation and had to go back to the halfway house she was staying at a few weeks before she moved back in. Things were back to normal when she went to the halfway house. I started paying for the light bill, $200 to help out more, because he had to take off work a lot to care for her, and he was drowning a bit. If he dumps her, he might find he can swim. Again, I didn't mind this in the slightest because I still work part-time, despite my condition, so I had the means. The problem starts when she comes back from the halfway house the second time. She's got her drinking under control, but she comes back saying she has a boyfriend. This immediately changes things because now we are supporting a person who is not working and is no longer dating my best friend. I lost all respect for her, but they are still friends and working things out to remain friends. You should get that guy a halo. Despite what my best friend says, this affected him more than he let on, and started having little mental breakdowns the last 3 weeks. Talking loudly, seemingly to no one, and pacing in the apartment for hours on end. I noticed he stopped going to work as well. We work different schedules at the same warehouse, so I would normally only see him maybe 2 days a week. Now he's been home every day for the last 3 weeks. I found out 2 days ago that he got fired from his job 3 weeks ago, and I found out by looking up his name on the computer at work saying terminated. I confront him about it and ask when he was planning on telling me since rent was due in a week, and he was using whatever money he did have on weed, beer, and food for the last 3 weeks for him and his ex. I ended up just very calmly saying that I will cover the rent for this month, November, and next month, December, but I'm moving back with my parents in January, and I think that's the most sensible solution. You can't force him to take help when he clearly needs it. They both get defensive, saying she has an internship and is paying now, and that he was covering the majority of rent, doing me a favor. Well, it's true he was, but it doesn't mean they get to screw you for it. And I should be grateful and willing to pay him back by holding it down until he finds something at some undetermined date. Do we even know why he got fired? If I do leave and they don't find something, then they lose the apartment, but I feel like I've done what I agreed to and even a bit more. If he would have told me 3 weeks ago when he lost the job, I could have started working a bit more, or asked for more hours at work, but now I'm 3 weeks behind, and I feel like I'm doing the best for me. Am I in the wrong? No, you're really not in the wrong, because, I should say, this situation, they just assumed this is what would happen. They sprung it on you, there was no discussion had, and it was only when you confronted them about it did things come to light. You've been quite reasonable. I mean, we're in early November now. This was published start of November. So 2 months for them to pull their fingers out? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If the two of them can't make it work between them in terms of rent, it's all going to fall on you anyway, and you cannot afford to be covering the entirety of that rent bill all on your own, especially when they're probably not going to move out. So, no. You've been kind, you've been generous, and, well, yeah, your friend was very kind to do what they did. That was a great deal they gave you at the time you needed it. But it's time to move on, because they're starting to get entitled about it now, and that's not what a friend does. Just a few months, you'll be free of it. It might cost you the friendship, but if it does cost you the friendship, it was never real friend. They weren't actually your friends to begin with. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. You can support $1, $2, $3, $4, just whatever you prefer a month, and that gives you early access to all the videos on Monday. You'll also find a link to my merchandise store on Teespring in the description, as well as other social media links. If you do need to contact me, that's kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's all typed out in the description if you need to see it written out. If you need to send me a story, if you want a birthday shout out or any kind of shout out, or you have any sort of business inquiry, you can do it through there. That's how you contact me for YouTube related things. But for now, I'm going to head off, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.